So we're talking about the compelling topic of ghost marriage.
Ghost time!
Years ago, it's probably been like 5, 10 years, something like that. I heard of a story of a woman who had married a ghost. And then we were talking about this and I Googled it and I found another story of a woman. So that's two. So that's like a 100% increase.
Yeah,
So this is a growing problem. And I was like,
it's a growing
the
trend.
experts at Ghost Hard should probably weigh in on this phenomenon.
Ghost marriage.
And again, pro, con, what are our thoughts?
This is a true
She was
news story.
she was visited by and I want to say that she was a professional. Uh, uh, what's his name? Jack Sparrow. What's the guy from?
Oh yeah, Jack
Right,
Sparrow's
right. She was a
Pirates.
professional Jack Sparrow impersonator, if I'm not wrong. Amanda Teague is her name, and this is in the UK. And yeah, she's this. According to this is from People Magazine, an unimpeachable source. So, like, I did my research. She's a 45-year-old Jack Sparrow impersonator from Northern Ireland, and she was visited by a Haitian pirate named Jack. I don't know if that was just a coincidence or if it was something,
She only talks to Jack ghosts,
or maybe all the pirates were just named Jack. It's kind of like I don't know if that's true, but so this guy was a pirate, the ghost of a pirate from 300 years ago, who came to visit her, and over time their relationship grew, and she fell in love with him, and I assume that he fell in love with her too. It kind of could have been a con job. I don't know.
But was she dressed as Jack Sparrow when they started dating? Because that would be a little.
You know what? I don't think it
That would
says
be
in the
mysterious.
article.
Like, did she marry him as herself or as her Jack Sparrow impersonator?
Well, in the pictures from the wedding that are in the People Magazine article, she's wearing a wedding dress. So she wasn't dressed as a Jack Sparrow impersonator at the time of the wedding. After 6 months of communication, I finally accepted it. Obviously, we'd spent a lot of time together. I was horrified to discover that I had romantic feelings for him, having never heard of that before, which is a good point. I mean, I had never heard of it.
Doesn't seem like, it doesn't seem
not
normal.
hard
But being Portland politics, love who you love. I'm okay.
I'm okay with it.
She wants to marry a ghost. More power.
And
to
the thing
her.
is, I've never, that as far as I know, had a relationship with a ghost, but I remember I dated a couple of women who disappeared. I got ghosted, but that happens. But
yeah, it definitely happens.
But in order to make the marriage legal, because this is very important for people who are looking into this. She got a boat and then went, like a yacht or something, like a charter kind of thing, and went out into international waters and had a friend conduct the ceremony. Because I guess if you do it although this will be drawn into question in the next story that I'll share with you, because that woman did not go through it through the same process. But I think that first of all, that draws into question that whole legality aspect of it, which is like, is this, do you have to do it in international waters? Can you, what do? You just go down to the county recorder and just be like, well, I married this ghost pirate. And they're like, oh, okay.
There's a lot of logistic questions that I have. So, like, how does he sign the certificate and who's going to, like, you have to have witnesses at your wedding. So who's going to be?
Well, she had witnesses.
But are they psychic? Because how do they know what his?
It doesn't say.
Yeah.
This particular article doesn't say.
What if she wanted it more than he did?
I know. I feel like he was just going through it. He's like, oh, God, I shut her up.
Yeah, he may not be able to know how to get out of it. And as a ghost, if his voice can't be heard by anyone but her, it's like it's her word against his, and no one can hear his.
But, the thing about this is that, not surprisingly, well, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say that. But
there's
after
so many surprises and all.
Yeah, that's like, and then who would have thought that a few years later, I'm not even sure how long it was, she divorced him.
Yeah.
Because the marriage wasn't working out. That he just
he wasn't there for her emotionally.
Yeah, really, I think he was. She says that at one point here, she says something that she felt that he was just there for the sex and that kind of thing.
Sure.
So, but again, for me, even beyond pro or con, not you're going to weigh in on this, but for me, there's a lot of legislative issues. Are we going to address this from a legal standpoint? so you've gotten married in international waters. Now you're going to get a divorce. What does that mean? What happens to community property? If you're, let's say that you're in a marriage and one of the partners dies, then the other partner, presumably, all that stuff because of the community property. But if the other partner's already been dead for 300 years, how does that get divvied up? And in the case of a divorce, did he have to have representation? Was it just, what does that work? I mean, did he get a lawyer? Did they just record it? I mean,
and so, those are important questions. If he has a pirate ship at the bottom of the ocean, does he get half his booty?
Yeah, who gets the booty? So now the second one,
it's wild enough that there was one, but now
two. So now, and the thing is, we'll come back and we'll tie everything together here because again, there are some statistical things here to consider. The second story that I'm aware of is a woman named Brocard, and she found a gentleman, a ghost of a guy, and let me see his name. I'm trying to remember his name was Eduardo. And he was a Victorian soldier, right? So she was 40. Romantic. And this guy visited her in her room, like she's there asleep or whatever. And this guy wakes her up. This ghost comes in through like the open window or something like that. And then they got married. This is according to News 9.
We'll link to the story so you guys can read it for yourselves in case you're curious about the logistics of your own ghost marriage possibility.
Yeah, and they might, or you can get in touch with them, might have some ideas about how exactly you do it. And so Brocard, this is in 2021. He turned up at her home. He said that he loved her, and I'm already calling BS
for sure
on that. Not that a ghost showed up, but if a ghost shows up and he's like, "I love you," and you're like, "Oh, really?" I mean, you do some research. I mean, I'll be like, "Oh,
what do you want?" Is my
let's
first
live
question.
together for not live, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
coexist.
Yeah, coexist together for a while to see is it going to work out? Are you going to hog the bathroom? Interestingly, their wedding was attended by Marilyn Monroe, Elvis, and Henry VIII. These are their ghosts.
Yeah.
So, and now interestingly in their story, the reason eventually she divorced him, she said she actually ended up having to do an exorcism, and I'll tell you something, I'm surprised.
Oh, this is going really far.
Well, I'll say this is a ghost marriage, so she ended up, not even a divorce, she got an exorcism, but I'm honestly, when I look at that, I'm surprised that more regular marriages don't end in exorcism, because I think that might be, I look at that and people go, that's really strange that have an exorcism. And I'm like, it's really not that strange. It's like, you should probably examine your relationship and go,
there.
Maybe that's what we need, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, that probably could help a lot of
marriage therapists,
a lot of couples.
But exactly. So like an exorcist is because a demon is in your body controlling you.
Well, no, you can do it. You can do an exorcism on, just like a location or whatever. It's basically just.
But like if she marries this ghost. Oh, so she just exercises
holy water
or
sage or burn sage or whatever it is.
So she's not like getting a demon out of her body.
No. I mean, I don't know. It doesn't. I don't think that was.
She was just so done with him that she removed him from the premises.
Okay, but so it turns out, ironically, he met Marilyn Monroe at the wedding. And he fell in love with Marilyn Monroe. So he was cheating. Well, it says that she alleged infidelity because she believes that he was having a relationship on the side with Marilyn Monroe. And I'm going to be honest with you, I can see it. I can see it. Now, I don't know. I mean, he's an 18th century. No, he was like a 17th century soldier or something like that, right? And you got Marilyn Monroe. She's a total bombshell.
Yeah.
And he sounds, honestly, the thing is, he sounds like kind of a player. I mean, the guy's name is Eduardo.
Right. And he
comes into your bedroom and he's like, I love you. And you're like, and then you find out that he's cheating on you with Marilyn Monroe and you're like surprised. Exorcism. After the exorcism, she still felt like he was stalking her. So she actually became a nun.
Oh.
So she went into a convent and took vows supposedly because Eduardo hated churches. He hated the clergy.
Okay.
And so that was her final way to get away from Eduardo. I mean, but I think that's a cautionary tale about marrying the first ghost that comes through your bedroom door.
The first man that says he loves you, especially if he has no body.
And especially if he's dead.
Do some research.
Exactly. Like do your research.
I think that's a good, whether they're living or dead, girls.
Yeah.
Google them.
So first of all, you've had a 100% increase. So you've gone from one case to two cases. So that's a huge. If you just look at the chart, the bell-shaped curve, it's going going steep. Straight up. It's now in both cases that we know of. It's both women who were seduced by male spirits, which makes me wonder. And see, this is the thing. You hear about stuff like this. Are there men out there that are falling in love with female spirits and we're just not hearing about it? Like, are men more reluctant to report that? You know what I mean? Because men, that's macho. You might be ashamed, embarrassed, something like that. So are they just not reporting it? Are men just not as empathetic? Like maybe you don't even realize that this ghost has feelings for you, or maybe you're with your ghost and you're just in it for the sex or something like that. And you're like, I don't see any reason to put a ring on the finger. Any of the specifics about how you know?
She had a lot of details about which ghosts were there. So, I mean, either she was just completely making it up, which is very possible, or she had someone there who was acting as a medium that said, oh, Marilyn Monroe just showed up. Because I don't think they invited Marilyn Monroe. Oh, maybe they did.
That's what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say is if you have a ghost marriage, do you invite Marilyn Monroe, or does she just? Or do they just like show up?
They're just like, hey, I'm in the afterlife.
Like who comes to your? I think who comes to your ghost marriage?
Show up at this ghost.
Because I'm like, so here's this woman, and I don't remember what she did for a living, but she's, I mean, not to pick on her, but she's just doing what she's doing. And then you've got a 17th century soldier named Eduardo. Why does Marilyn Monroe show up? You know, I mean, just like randomly. Were they friends? Henry VIII. Henry VIII was there, supposedly, according to the article. Why are you going to have a former king of England come to your, like, he's going to stop what he's doing in the afterlife. Presumably he's, pretty busy, and he's going to just come to your wedding, so that, again, you got to wonder about it. But
yeah, you got to wonder about that. I also want to do a little bit of research. Maybe it'd be worth it to have a lawyer on one day. We could ask him some questions.
That's a great idea.
I'm curious if the law states whether or not you need to be alive. Like, is that a piece of the legality of marriage? Because I bet it doesn't.
I don't think it says that.
I bet it doesn't.
I don't think it says that.
So if it's vague on details, then there's your loophole. You just slide right in with me and my ghost hubby, Eduardo the Casanova of all eternity.
Yeah, and he just comes right into your house and he's like, "Oh, hey, baby."
But be skeptical. Be skeptical, girls. When somebody slips in your window at night, living or dead. It's
and he just starts talking about "I love you," and you're like,
be skeptical.
You don't know me. And I'll tell you something else. For me, always keep that exorcism in your back pocket.
For sure.
I didn't research that. How many regular marriages end in exorcism?
And how many do, and then how many should?
Right. We think about it. We can all name a couple where you're like, oh, those two really need an exorcism.
If you have opinions of your own that you would like to share with us regarding ghost marriage, and if you're for it or against it, we'd love to hear from you. So comment below on your opinions and for or against ghost marriage.
I'm for
it too.
Are you kidding me? Who am I to say no to true love? But here's my comment. And again, so far 100% of ghost marriages have ended in divorce or worse.
This is true.
So again, I am totally pro.
Record, not great.
It's a very small sample size. I'm totally pro.
It turns out he's never there for me emotionally.
He's never. I'm doing all the work. He never goes to work. He's a 300-year-old pirate, and I've got to pay the bills. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. Is like,
yeah.
I'm going to work.
Agreed.
I'm paying the bills. He just sits around the house.
Around all day, spooking people,
jumping
out of closets. When you do decide that marriage with a ghost is your future, I would start thinking about the guest list, because as opposed to a normal wedding, I guess normal, maybe that's a rude word, a traditional wedding.
Inclusive.
Yeah, we're being very inclusive. But here, when you're having a traditional wedding, you think about your friends and your family and the people that you know. But when you're marrying a ghost, now Marilyn Monroe is there, King Henry VIII. Really opens it up, you could have Houdini come to your wedding. Like, who have you always wanted to be there? Like Ronald Reagan.
Want Ronnie.
He could be.
I'd ask for Ronnie to be there.
He could be your.
Yeah, he could probably do that. He could actually probably do the honors.
Yeah. That would actually be sort of awesome.
That would be really cool, actually, to say, yes, I married a ghost, and the ghost was officiated by the ghost of Ronald Reagan. That takes it to a new opulent level. So where are you? Are you pro? Where do you feel?
I'm for it.
So that's 2 enthusiastic thumbs up.
Yeah, I'm for it. Do it. Go where your heart leads you.
But maybe you'll be the one to
start with the exorcism.
Maybe start with the exorcism and then see where it goes from there. Because if it's like you let them go, and if they don't come back, then they were never yours to begin with, kind of thing.
If you are a man married to a ghost, we'd love to hear from you as well.
Absolutely.
Let us know. We want to know your stories. So anybody out there,
anybody else
been married to a ghost, want to be married to a ghost,
just thinking about it,
hate the idea of marriage to a ghost, we want to hear about it. So comment below.